Here we're doing our next step of the pour using a deep cast pour. We love the liquid glass. It does a great job of taking its time setting up. We try to have our temperatures under 70 degrees if at all possible. In this part of the pour, we'll like to pour extra epoxy over any cracks or holes or any of the other imperfections on the actual wood slabs themselves.
Here's a little mixing hack for you. When mixing your epoxies, if you run your drill on reverse, the splatters will tend to go down instead of upwards. Very important, once you finish mixing your epoxy, to get it poured out of the bucket. When epoxy sits in a container and it's deep, it's going to start kicking and heating up. And you do not want that. You're losing your time to be able to work with your product.
Once you have your epoxy poured, there's going to be tons of bubbles. Let your epoxy set for a good 15-20 minutes. It'll start to pop on its own, and then you want to help encourage that. You can use a denatured alcohol on a spray bottle, misting it. That is a great technique. I will probably start to use that more often because you are not heating your product to help to make it kick. A very popular one, which I do use quite a bit, is using a torch. I like to typically use MAP gas because I can do something really quick and fast. Propane does just fine, and a heat gun also works. It's just not my preference because the heats aren't quite hot enough. When you are popping bubbles, you want to pop the bubble and move. You do not want to leave heat on the epoxy for any period of time.
Here you will see is swirling and mixing the epoxy. The mica powders within the epoxy, we do that every few hours until we get to that moment where it starts kicking. Before that, you'll mix and all the micas will fall back to the bottom and you lose your pattern. So you keep doing that until just about the time it starts kicking, and that's when your pattern will hold.
This epoxy river table pour turned out wonderful. We did it in 3 stages. The first pour was the tabletop pour, which was a thick epoxy, sealed everything in so things weren't leaking. Second pour, gunmetal gray, mica powder swirl, wonderful. Then we did the final clear pour, which helped give an element of depth. Turned out wonderful. Probably my favorite build to date. This was a 5.5 foot cast iron crane coffee table with a black walnut and gunmetal gray triple swirl river table. It's been a long time coming. Black walnut.
Look at the design.
Gunmetal river. Swirl.
Treble swirl.